Hey, what's up New Zealand and the world? Welcome back to Kiwi Voice. Thanks once again for tuning in. Today we're taking a look at what is one of the most interesting and fast developing stories in world news today, and that is of the Canadian truckers in their Freedom Convoy 2022 and their protest driving across Canada to Ottawa to protest vaccine mandates and vaccine passport legislation that has since morphed into something much bigger.
With the institutions, sick illusion, no, it won't be televised. Welcome to the revolution. Before we get into any of that, if you're new here, please by all means hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, comment down below, share the links. Any of that stuff genuinely helps the channel grow. But let's talk Canadian truckers. We're going to go through some of the key points of what's developed over the last 8 days, some of the key figures, hopefully give you a little bit of footage from other media outlets that are doing their best to cover this, because there is little to none in the mainstream media, as you may well expect. 8 days ago, in response to new legislation that was brought in Canada by PM Justin Trudeau with regards to freight truckers that regularly crossed the American border with Canada, if they were unvaccinated, had to isolate on their return into Canada every single time. So what some would see as nonsensical legislation, it sparked this movement. So what are some of the key elements of this? Well, somewhere between estimates are 50 to 100,000 truckers have gathered and convoyed from all different parts of Canada to arrive in Ottawa, where Parliament and government buildings are located. They are there to protest against the vaccine mandates and vaccine passport regulations that are causing these issues. However, somewhere along that way, as I've mentioned, it is growing into something much, much larger. All along the route over the last 8 days, you've got to remember Canada is a very large country. It's taken them a week to get there from all parts of the country. There has been massive support, roadside support, overpass support, taking into account this is, of course, freezing cold over in Canada at this time of year in that part of the country. So really heartening to see for those people that are supporting that. As well as the 50 to 100,000 truckers, which did stretch to up to 45 miles or 70 to 75 kilometers long in some estimates also. People are talking about Guinness World Records for the largest vehicle convoy in history. So there you go. There has been somewhere between 500,000 to 1 million people gathered in Ottawa as well. The estimates obviously do vary widely. There are no official registrations for the people supporting or the general public supporting, but some of the drone footage that has been taken, and obviously wider pictures, there's going to be wild estimates, you can throw it out there, but we can confidently say here at Kiwi Voice that there is definitely hundreds of thousands of people. You do need to go to alt media or alternative independent media outlets such as ours that are over that way, and Rebel News is doing good work over there as well from Australia to get some kind of visual representation of who's there. The key element of this is very quickly the Freedom Convoy 2022 did fundraise through a GoFundMe page $6.2 million to cover food, petrol and other expenses, of course, for the protesters. Now this was initially suspended not long after they reached that peak until GoFundMe received more details about the group and its financial management. Now initially my response to that was nefarious means, but it turns out that's standard process and does make perfect sense to me. Of course, they've got to make sure that this money is going to a reputable source and a legitimate place to be distributed accordingly. And 3 days ago, they released $1 million of that to cover fuel costs, and the organisers of the protest are continuing to work with GoFundMe to release further funds as they give them a financial plan. So that's good to see. Good to know both sides are doing their due diligence. Once the participants have been reimbursed for those petrol expenses, they should be further reimbursed. Now, something that is not clearly articulated in any mainstream media coverage at all, if there is any, if you struggle to find it. It's the usual standard sort of hit pieces there. But within this truckers organisation, 85% of these people are fully vaccinated, and you can imagine with hundreds of thousands of citizens in support, there's going to be a large amount that are also fully vaccinated. So this is long since past an anti-vaccine or anti-vax rally mandate that a lot in the media may well report it as. Obviously, in the number of mainstream outlets that have said hundreds of truckers and a few thousand supporters, pretty standard stuff that we're tiring of these days. So there you go. But the figure of 85% of the truckers organisation being fully vaccinated tells you that they have just had enough. They have delivered a memorandum of understanding to the Canadian government, and that is they wish to end all mandates and passport restrictions, and they require the resignation of Justin Trudeau, and that's where they're leaving it at the moment. So the weekend just passed, just finishing now over there. Obviously it's Sunday over there now as we record this on a Monday in New Zealand. There has been regular protest activity right across the weekend, and the commitment from Freedom Convoy 2022 is to stay there with that GoFundMe funding and potentially further funding until they get the results thereafter. So this has been one of the strongest protest actions in any part of the world. We've seen protest movements all across the world, including the ones here in New Zealand that Kiwi Voice has covered. And this would have to be up there as one of the strongest in terms of determination, numbers, and demands. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on. Now, as a result of the widespread independent media coverage, this is starting to spread. This morning, I received word from Australia that truckies are making their way to Canberra. Now, Rebel News has briefly reported on this. They've left multiple parts of Australia. I've received footage from Victoria as well as Queensland that they are heading to Canberra. So not much to report on that as of yet. Few videos here and there are popping up on different social feeds, but we'll keep an eye on that developing story as we go. Here in New Zealand, well, we've taken inspiration as well, and it turns out things are starting to get organised here. I don't want to give away too much, but go online, check out Facebook. The Facebook page has grown to 12,000 members in one day. So this is something significant, family. Keep an eye on these developments with this movement. This may be the one that does unite rather than divide a lot of the people in this country. But we shall see. In the meantime, thanks for tuning in. Once again, family, I appreciate all the support I've received to this point. Stay safe, stay free, and we will see you real soon.